So just how much Sanctuary Moon do we get in the finale of Murderbot? And also, is it a good ending? Let's talk about Murderbot episode 10. Hi everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about Murderbot episode 10, the finale. The episode's called The Perimeter. It comes to Apple TV Plus on July 11th, 2025. It is the final episode of Murderbot. Murderbot season one, maybe Murderbot overall, but it is at least the final episode for now. Is this episode worth your time? Does this episode give a worthy finale to our favorite sec unit? My hot take is, yeah, I definitely think it does. I definitely think you should watch it. I thought it was a really good episode, a really strong finale. It had a ton of emotion, a nice long episode to close out all the plot lines, and a really fantastic ending. So overall, definitely think you should check it out. Definitely think you should watch it. Watch the whole series. It was really good. I didn't love the first two episodes, but after that, I've enjoyed this completely, and I really, really loved the final episode. So I'm sad that Murderbot's over, but I'm happy with the way that it ended, and that kind of tied a nice bow on all of our friends. So, all that being said, I'm going to tell you a little about the episode, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there'll be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't know what happens in this episode, and you might not, there are some surprises, especially towards the end. I would turn it off and get to the recap. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler-free. Let you know, get to those spoilers. So, in Murderbot episode 10, The Perimeter, we have the direct aftermath of the Grey Chris plot. Our friends, especially Murderbot, overcame it, and now we see the consequences. We see what happens right after. Are they going to be able to stay together? Are they able to keep their noses clean? And what's going to happen to this defective second unit? Well, you have to watch the episode to find out. So, things I liked about this episode. The first, I like Gurathin. I like Gurathin's character. Look, I love David Dastmalchian, and his character really kind of shines. He's shined in the last few episodes. I really liked kind of the depth, the way that his character has kind of like rose to the occasion, and this episode is no different. There are some very nice scenes. There's a very emotional scene with him as well. So definitely like Gurathin. He's probably my favorite character in the series. Second thing I love the emotion. This is the finale. There are definitely some high emotions and a very kind of emotional ending. It's going to tug on your heartstrings and give you all the feels. The third thing I loved, there are some tense moments. There are some tense moments as they're trying to figure out what to do next, and how to kind of like salvage everything and make sure that their crew stays together. It's not a ton of tension, but there are just some moments where you're like unsure what will happen next. The fourth thing I loved, I love the length. It's a 33-minute episode. Murderbot has been 23 or so. This gave us about 10 extra minutes to tie up the plot, make sure that we kind of had a nice long conclusion and didn't really leave anything hanging. And the last thing I love the ending. It's a really good ending, an emotional ending, but an ending that kind of fits with everything that's happened so far. And I definitely love when a series ends strongly. So all that being said, things I didn't love as much. Really only one thing, there's no Sanctuary Moon. There's references to Sanctuary Moon. There's mentions of Sanctuary Moon, but there's no Sanctuary Moon. I guess that will maybe be for a spin-off series. Probably not. But I really love Sanctuary Moon, and there was none of it in here, so that made me a little sad. But overall, I really like this episode. Definitely think you should watch the entire series. If you haven't seen Murderbot, it is fantastic. Very, very good Apple TV Plus series. So jump on that train, watch Murderbot, and if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. I'm going to really quickly go into a recap right now. So if you don't know what happens in this episode, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So what happened at the end of episode 9? The plot by Grey Chris was foiled. Everyone there was killed. Murderbot saved Mensah by kind of sacrificing itself. But in the process, the beacon was able to get up. And so apparently the company got the beacon, came and rescued them. And now we deal with the aftermath. So Murderbot wakes up and he is getting a full system reset. They delete all of his memories. They realize his governor module is defective. So they fix his governor module. And then after he is wiped and kind of refreshed, he is put right back into the queue and goes into kind of the security forces here to suppress a revolt. There are miners revolting. Remember, this mining colony has very, very egregious contracts that force people to work there for years and years and years. Some people are unhappy about that. They are starting to rebel. And Murderbot is sent in along with some other units to suppress this rebellion. As he's going, though, he runs into Ratthi, does not recognize him at all because all of his memories are wiped. When he gets to the unrest, he is brutal with the protesters, but he couldn't bring himself to kill someone. When that happens, he sees that memory that has been in his head of an earlier suppression, and he is not able to pull the trigger. Unfortunately, the crowd, which was first like, don't shoot, don't shoot, when they realize he's not going to shoot, they beat him up. So they beat Murderbot up. He is beaten unconscious, basically. Meanwhile, the crew is trying to negotiate with the mining company to get, Murderbot back essentially. They threaten a lawsuit. They want their sec unit back. The company's like, well, we can give you a different sec unit. Like, no, we want our sec unit. Now, meanwhile, Gurathin goes back to his old boss slash dealer. Because remember, he was from this area. This is where he kind of got his addiction. Apparently, this was a coworker who introduced him to drugs, and then that kind of caused him to go on a downward spiral. Now, he basically kind of calls in a favor slash threatens his boss to get access to the company system. So his old boss, who has very high level access, takes him in to the facility, and Gurathin there finds Murderbot's archives and downloads all of them. He doesn't find them directly. He finds them by referencing Sanctuary Moon, and that's how he's able to finally get them. Now, meanwhile, the crew is using the news media and PR to try to stop this company logjam. They are, not helping them locate Murderbot. So they start, they have a press conference. They're trying to figure out where Murderbot is, and eventually they locate him right at the end of the press conference. Murderbot is about to be melted down because remember he was reset. He wasn't able to suppress the rebellion, so he's going to get melted down because he is just too defective. But the crew has a last-minute injunction that prevents that. They stop him from being melted down and bring him back to their I guess wherever they're staying at, their quarters. Now, Gurathin gets back. He knows that Murderbot's memories of White because remember, Murderbot tried to attack Ratthi earlier. When they get Murderbot back, Murderbot doesn't have any of its personality. It is looking them directly in the eyes. It doesn't recognize any of them. So Gurathin, who had previously downloaded the memories, comes and restores Murderbot's memories. Now, they're not sure if it worked, but eventually, Murderbot mentions that it's missing episodes like 460 to 520 of Sanctuary Moons. So they know that it's back and they welcome it back into their crew. Now, Murderbot gets dressed in regular clothes, doesn't have to wear its security armor, and it starts trying to get used to this new life where it is now like part of this crew and free to kind of do what it wants, but it still feels uncomfortable. Like it is trying to acclimate, but this is a weird new world for it. So one night, it's leaving the facility after everyone's gone to sleep, and Gurathin wakes up and sees it. Murderbot tells Gurathin it has to secure the perimeter. Gurathin's like, you don't have to do that here. You don't have to do that. It's fine. And then Gurathin recognizes, I think, what's happening. He's like, they're a little strange, but you'll get used to it, and they are like the best people I know. Gurathin seems very, very genuine here. He has done a lot for this crew. They seem to have done a lot for him. So after this, Murderbot says, I have to go patrol the perimeter, and Gurathin says, you don't have to, but eventually I think he understands and says, okay. And then after Murderbot leaves, Gurathin, has some emotion. I think Gurathin knows what's going to happen. Murderbot walks around the mining colony, and it looks normal. It's able to pass for just a normal, strange person. And it makes its way to the lower port work zones. There, it finds a transport that's going to a nearby mining planet, and Murderbot pings, the bots that are on there, says it's a servant bot looking for a ride, and used the, many, many hours of fine entertainment media it has on it as a bargaining chip. That crew is happy to have it on. Everyone loves really good, high quality programming, so Murderbot jumps onto this transport and leaves. And at first I was like, that's really frustrating. They went through all this to get Murderbot back, to restore it. They risked a ton to try to save Murderbot, and Murderbot just up and bounces. But as Murderbot is going away, it basically says that like it kind of wants to forge its own way. It doesn't know what it wants to do, but it knows it doesn't want to be told what to do. So it's going to kind of like, I don't know, college kid in a gap year, just to have experiences, try to figure out what it wants to do with its life, with its existence. And I assume at some point maybe it'll come back to the crew because it does call them the best people it knows, especially Mensah. That's its favorite person. But Murderbot wants to, experience life, forge its own path, and so it is off to see a crappy mining planet. But that is Murderbot. Were there any questions left over? Not really. I mean, all the questions were pretty much answered. I guess the only question that wasn't answered, will there be a three-way? Probably not. It seems like that whole group had kind of come to a consensus maybe that it wasn't a good idea because real feelings had developed. So I guess we will have to wait for a sequel to find out. But that is Murderbot. Now, do we think that there will be additional episodes? I don't know. They closed it off in a nice way. At the end, Murderbot says, end of message, which I guess means it's the end of that transmission. Obviously, they could have another season easily, but they don't need to. I don't feel like I would love to see more of this world, but I think it would be a little bit different if Murderbot was now an independent person. It wouldn't have the same kind of like interesting dynamic of a, sec unit and a crew that's treating it normally. It could still be fun. Hey, a Sanctuary Moon spinoff, I'd love to see that. More adventures of Murderbot, that would be fun too. Maybe Murderbot finds other groups of robots and tries to like free them. I don't know, but I don't. I'm sure Apple TV loves money. I'm sure that they would love to have another Murderbot series, assuming it does well. But it doesn't feel like there is going to be another Murderbot series. But I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But until then, that is Murderbot. That is Murderbot season one, or maybe Murderbot the series. Definitely check it out. If you do watch it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.